thanks for joining us today. Oh, it's good to see as many people as we can actually legally fit in the room, which is good. It would be great if more and more people are here, but they can't be because we couldn't fit them in. So it's probably, unless there's people out in the car park or something, I'm unsure. But I've got to talk to the cameras as well today, not just to you in here, because we want to include everyone. So let's do that formally. Thanks for joining us for Liberty Online and this morning for Vision Sunday. Just for you guys who are watching online, I apologise if the picture quality isn't as good as usual, but we're having to cram into this room as best we can. And so thanks for joining with us and stick with us and roll with it until the end, because I'm going to be sharing lots of stuff. And today is our last service in the Carnegie Room, like I said, and a very special Vision Sunday. It's great to see loads of people in the room who've come out today for Easter Sunday. So let me first say Happy Easter. In our church, you are allowed to talk as well, so Happy Easter. You don't have to talk, though. Don't feel pressured to. Our church is centered around Jesus, and the Easter story is at the hub of our faith. It's at the hub of everything we do, and Jesus is at the center of everything that we do, and the Easter story. And the Easter story is, as you know, even if you're not a Christian, if it's the first time in church ever, you know the story of Easter, the Jesus' death and resurrection, and coming out of the grave from death to life, and from this most important historical event, life sprung up, and faith sprung up, and in turn the church sprung up all across the globe. It exploded, in fact, across the globe, the church, followers of Jesus Christ. And 2,000 years later, we're here, you're here, I'm here, you're here online watching in your pajamas. And so today, every one of us who calls himself a Jesus follower, who's a Christian, who's part of the local church, we are called to go and make disciples, to take the good news of the gospel and make disciples. And so, it might be a bit weird then that I'm saying this, but today, I'm not doing an Easter message. But really, I am, because I want to encourage you to live out an Easter message practically. And we're going to talk about this morning how Liberty is going to do that, how Liberty is going to practically share the gospel going forward, actual action. And so, welcome to Vision Sunday. And our vision, if you don't know, maybe you're new to our church, maybe it's your first time here, but our vision is this, simply to build a vibrant church through connecting our community to Jesus. That is our vision. And how are we going to do that? Through Sunday events, creating environments. This is so important to us, creating environments where you are excited to invite people to, but creating environments where people can belong before they believe, where they can belong before they believe. We have our crews, which is basically our volunteer teams, the people who get involved practically at church, providing opportunities to use our skills and passions to build the local church. And lastly, we do it through connect groups, where we're building God-centered lives through small friendship groups or through our small connect groups. And so we, the church on the planet, but we as one church, Liberty Church, have one mission. And that is to share the gospel and to live that out in every breath of our life, in everything that we do. And so we are going to choose to do that and put the kingdom first. And so today on Vision Sunday, we're inviting you to seek in which way you're going to do that. In which way can you be involved in actually practically doing that, in building his local church, in seeking first the kingdom, in building his local church at Liberty that's going to impact this region. And choose actions, even today, especially today, but going forward as well, that will last for years to come. The decisions that we make in the now, in today, will have not just long-term implications, but possibly eternal implications. And so, most of you will know, like Steph said, unless you rolled in late, that we've agreed the sale of our building for our church. We've been waiting 20 years, but now Liberty has a home. Disclaimer, we haven't signed the contract yet, but it's coming. It's just going through the mechanism of that. And so this building is going to be a great tool to build his church, and it's going to be a hub in the region. And so a hub for our activities as a church, and Jesus will be at the hub of it. And so I give you, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like I need a drum roll or something. I give you, oh, well done. I give you the hub. This is our new building, the hub. This building does not at the minute look like what we want it to look like, just at the moment. And there's nothing wrong with the way it looks, and there's a church operating out of there, have done for a few years. And so, but it's not us, it's not home. We want to go in and make it our home. We want to create, like I said, this is so important to us as a church. We want to create environments where you're excited to invite your friends to. You know, what we do here on a Sunday with the resources that we have, and I know, like, for you guys who've come often on a Sunday, we'd usually have the band and a lighting rig and a better PA rig and all that sort of stuff as well. But it's going to be another level, and we want to create environments, not just on a Sunday, but in everything that we do, where you're excited to invite your friends to. And we want the best. We do. Because from my point of view, Jesus is the best. There's nothing better. And so we want to show him off the best that we can. And so that's what we're about, and that's what we're talking about today. So currently, this building, and we're excited about it. I've been looking at this and sorting this out since November, and so this will be brand new information to you, but this has been deep in my soul and heart for a long time. And so the entrance currently looks like this. And so I've done a panoramic view. These are actually two pictures together. So lots of the ones I've taken, I couldn't take the whole place. So I've done it in sections and joined them together sometimes. So you just get a flavour of what it looks like. So it's not like there's some magic, like, mystical thing in the middle there that's creating a new universe or something. This is just me putting two pictures together. And so you might be able to see this online as well, hopefully. And so this is the entrance at the minute, but we want to do some work to that and create a new entrance that looks more like this baby here. And so we know it's important, and I think it's important to you. It's important to me. It's definitely important to you if you're bringing friends who've never been to church before. But we want to create a welcoming environment, and that starts with walking through the door in the foyer. And so we want to provide an environment for you guys to invite people to. You're excited to invite people to, where they can do e-sign up for kids instead of what's all this paper and pen nonsense that we do. It's ridiculous. Where we can have a next step station where people can get involved easily in church through an e-sign up system. You know, we want our welcome to be the best welcome ever. The current auditorium looks a little bit like this. Here's one angle of it. It's being used for like online services at the minute. People aren't in the room, and I think we've got another picture of the other angle as well, of showing you what the other angle looks like. But we don't want it to stay like this. We're not just going to come in and plonk our PA in. We want to go in and gut the auditorium and make it an amazing space, one that people will travel to, like, to come and see. And I don't mean just to come and have a look. I mean just because of the level of quality and excellence that we put into it. And so we want the auditorium to look more like this. And obviously we are limited by the ability of floorplanner.com to make it look a certain way. But we want to make it as welcoming and as high-end as possible for you guys. And if we can raise the money, we're aiming for a 120-seater, state-of-the-art PA, lighting and projection that wows people, not for the sake of it, but for the sake of the gospel. And so we want the highest standards possible to present the gospel in the best way that we can. And so then downstairs in this building at the minute, there's a kitchen, which Joe, I'm sure, will be happy about. Little kitchen shot there of a few of the angles. And then there's another shot, I believe, of downstairs that you can see of just an open space, one open space. It's got rooms off it all the way around, but I didn't want to bore you and show you pictures of the toilets and things like that. And so we want to create something more like this in the way of a coffee hub, a coffee shop, a place where you can be comfy and relax and chat and connect. And I think we've got another angle of that as well, please. And so a place where you would love to invite your mates to, where you'd like to sit and chat. You know, I remember when we used to be in our old building in Kelvin Place, you know, I was the key holder there, and we couldn't get people to leave. It's quite irritating, really. It's like 4 o'clock. Can you go home? But we love that, really. I'm joking, but we want to create an environment where you want to stick around and connect with people. And so we want to do that, definitely. And on this downstairs space as well, we're going to section off space for kids. So it will look a bit like this. To use for food bank as well, multi-use space to use for food bank sorting, but for our kids as well, we'll have 2 separate rooms, and in that we'll have bifold doors in between everything, so we can use the space for multiple different things and open it up for bigger events. And we want to have 2 spaces, 2 independent spaces for our kids for classes like we have here. We want to be able to do that in the new hub. And so I'm sure you agree, even if you're not a parent, even if you never plan to have kids, I'm sure you agree that we should invest in our children. We should invest in the next generation. They're not just the next generation of the church, they're the now generation of the church that are also going to be the next generation of the church when us oldies die off eventually. So we want to invest in our kids. We want to pour into them, into the resources in the kids area. And we've got some new kids leaders as well that are starting up. And I'm happy about that. They are the church of now and tomorrow. And currently outside, there's outdoor space at this venue. Yes. For you guys who don't know, we've actually looked at about 20 buildings. We put offers in on 7 buildings and fallen down on every one of them. Even though you shall fall 7 times, you shall arise. I think that's in scripture somewhere. I can't remember where. Let's say Isaiah. I don't know. I can't remember. But the 8th time lucky, that's what they say, don't they? 8th time lucky. Nothing to do with luck. Just God in it, that's all. And so we have outside space. It looks a little bit like this if it's not on the screen already for you. And it's an L shape. I've only got one shot of it for you there, but it's not fenced off. It's just grass. But we want to create an outside space that you love to be in as well. So we want to look something more like this. Apologies for the quality of the picture. This was me. But it's an L-shaped space. We want to have a fenced area where the kids are secure. And this is purely selfish. My boy's like the Tasmanian devil. I'm trying to contain him. So we're going to create fences all around so you can relax as a family and let your kids play in the back there, and having things for the kids to play on as well. Having a patio area, barbecue area, a patio area that we can extend out of our cafe when weather's permitting. Because if you're from the States, it's always like this sun in the UK. It's always sunny. But we want to have a barbecue, we want to have a fire pit I was going to say the guys, that's a little bit sexist though, for anyone who likes fire, all that sort of stuff. Obviously, we'll keep the children and the fire separate, as is in the risk assessment. But we want to have a playground for the kids, climber frame, swings, slides, a Wendy house, that's more for me. And so, I haven't been exhaustive for time today, but we haven't shown you everything. Because of time, but I think you get the idea of the vision for our new home, what we want to do. And so this is the hub. That is going to be the hub. This is what we are going to create. And so I said, if you watch me online, which it's been a bit weird for me speaking to cameras for the last few months. Cameras alone. I've been preaching messages to cameras, and now there's people in the room. That feels weird. Stop looking at me. But I said back in January, maybe you'll recall, back in January that 2021 was going to be the defining year for our church. That this is going to be a defining year for our church, and it seems the hub is at the center of that. And so I want us to think about, really, I want to address this head on, and so we'll just ask the question, what is a hub? Because some of you might not like the name, and I don't really care. That's just the name of the building. We're still Liberty Church. This is just the place that we're going to operate from. But what is a hub? A hub is the effective center of activity or of the region or of a network. And so I want to be really clear, and we're very clear about this as a church, that the hub, this building, our last building, the hub that we're going to be moving into is not the church. You are the church. The church is the people. The church is us. The hub is just something that connects all of us together. You are the church. The hub is going to be just the center of the activity, the center of the networking of relationships. And for some of you, it might be tempting to think, and don't worry, I'm not judging because I've thought it too, is it big enough for the big vision that we have? Is it big enough for the big vision that we have for our church? And the answer for me is yes, it is. Because for me, God's just opened all the doors to it. And maybe in the first month of being in, I'll maybe do a message about all the different things that have happened and lined up all by themselves without me trying. And some of you know me well. I'm a bit of a control freak. I want to try and make things happen. And God's just slapped me out of the way and said, get out of the way, watch me do my work. And so he's opened up all the doors. And so for me, if he's opening up all the doors, I'm not going to complain that it's a little bit smaller. Because sure, I agree, I understand. It's a little bit smaller in terms of square footage than we'd planned and that we'd talked about and that I had in my head, when we were visiting big industrial units, where I had a planned indoor go-kart centre in my head. But often, I want you to think about this, because maybe it's come up in your mind and it causes resistance in you. And don't worry, I've been there. I want you to think about this, that God often uses what man considers small things in a big way. He uses what is small, insignificant, unimportant, and uses them in significant and important and big ways. And so, for some of you, you might not have been thinking about that question, and I've just planted it in your spirit, but hopefully I've addressed it for you. You know, God used David to take out Goliath. He used a little runty teenager boy to take up a massive warrior. He also used the same guy, the smallest of the boys in the family, to become king of Israel. His father actually didn't even bring him to the prophet to say, here's one of my sons that could be king. He was hidden away. And yet the prophet was like, none of these are the king. Where's the smallest one? And it's the smallest one that came on to actually lead the nation of Israel. God used Gideon, the weakest, but out of his own mouth, the weakest of his own tribe that was the weakest, to go on and lead an army to victory. When you think about it, the Apostle Paul, to all accounts, was a small man. He wasn't an intimidating character. He wasn't a big fella that got things done. It was all about his spirit and his soul and his willingness to follow God when he was commanded to. Paul was a small man. He was a warrior with a pen, but he was a small man in presence. And he was someone who changed the face of the planet. He really was. He wrote 2/3 of the New Testament. You know, Jesus used a small boy's small lunch to feed 5,000 people. I can't imagine if that was me, because, you know, I'm not too bad now. I'd need a few more pound off. I got, you know, the gym's open next Monday. I've always been big, and I was a big kid. No one ever took my lunch. I don't even reckon Jesus could get it off me. As an ex-rugby player, even at 10 years old, I reckon he wouldn't get that fish and chip supper off of me. And yet he used that small boy's small lunch to do a massive, big, important thing that was recorded, and we talk about still thousands of years later. Jesus himself came from a tiny town, insignificant, a meek carpenter, lowly, not a warrior king who seemed dangerous and can beat anyone up and cut their head off. And yet he went on to save the world, essentially. And so, what man thinks is small, God uses for big things. And I know God is going to use the hub and us within it to have a big impact. So, sure, it's snug, but then so is many of my tops at the moment. It's snug, but can I tell you, I love that. I love that it's going to be tight. We can get 120 people in there nice and tight. You know why I like the idea of it being more snug rather than a big, vast industrial room is because we're building a home. We're building a home where people connect. We're not building a place where people congregate and don't connect with each other. We're building a home where people build relationships with each other and sharpen each other and encourage each other in life. And that I'm not saying in a big place that can't happen, but I'm saying it's harder. And I think what we might consider a bad point, God's like, this is the best thing about it. So it's a 120-seater. And as we grow over the years, which we will, so what? We'll do 2, 3, 4, 5 services. I don't care. We'll just do what we've got to do, whatever it takes. And so, I want you to think about it. I really do. And I know I'm maybe stressing this point. Even you at home, listen to this. That the hub, I want you to think about it. The hub of anything powerful, when you think about it, the hub of anything powerful is usually relatively small. For example, your brain. Your specific brain. No offense. Some of you got bigger brains than others. That's cool. But your brain is relatively small to your body, even though in terms of creation, our brains are the biggest relative to our bodies. But still, relative to our body, it's small. But the network that spreads from it, the life that comes from it is huge. And so so too will be the hub. It'll be life-giving. It'll permeate its signal and message and its connections and networks out into the town and beyond. Not just through the internet, but through relationship. And so, I want us to have a think about our vision. And I've just done a slide with lots of different things for you to get your thoughts into. Because we've been out of church for about a year. And maybe some of you have been disconnected and with relationally and with church and the vision for our church. It's no different It's like we've just been paused during COVID, and we haven't. We've been pedaling in the background. But our vision for our church from the hub, and I'm really talking about our ministries, our things that we're going to do, our actions, our serving of each other and our community. There's going to be so many opportunities to get involved and actually have purpose. Get involved and have purpose in building local church. You know, for us, the creative teams, you know, our band, when we have our band playing, our band and vocalists are amazing. Our lighting team, our sound team, all that are amazing. And we're limited by the resources that we have. But, you know, going forward, we want that to be an amazing thing, the best in the region, where we, like we had in the past, songwriters writing songs that would come out of our church with the best stage lighting and audio possible. With our kids, like I said, we've got new kids leaders who are going to be taken on as soon as we launch. But we want to equip our kids ministry with the best resources to build your children up, to partner with you, so that to act as an anchor in them, that they won't drift in later life. And so we've even got these great ideas. You know, kids, you're going to love this, I think. We're going to do kids takeovers on Sundays, where the kids have the whole upper floor. They have the whole auditorium to do their own kids' church, and we adults get to eat brunch downstairs. It's good. Got nothing to do with the kids. I just love brunch. With our welcome side of things, you know, we want to expand and improve our crew, like I said, so that when you bring people along, you're excited about them encountering the welcome team, not terrified that they might meet that person. And so we want a car park crew, you know, out on the road making a noise and to reassure you to invite. With our food bank is a massive part of what our church does. Honestly, it's so we make such a difference, and we just do that in the background. Even though, who saw me and Steph on the front paper of the newspaper? Yeah, some of you don't know me well. They're like, "Hey, show off." You know, if you know me well, you know I'm like, I hate it. I hate that sort of thing. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you, Steph. Our neighbour saw us. She said, "Oh, you're on the front page of the newspaper." She said, "Shame you couldn't get your hair cut." Oh dear. I was like, thanks. I think that was directed at me. But Steph was wearing a hat in the shot, so I'm going that way. I'm deflecting. My hair's fine. Who's been cutting their own hair? Oh, it's shocking, isn't it? It's really... See, some of the bald guys who just shave it off, they're laughing. They're loving this lockdown. I asked because my wife refuses to cut my hair. Anyway, so our food bank is a really important part of what we do, and we're going to expand what we do, not just about food. We already do an energy bank. We want to give debt advice. We want to do stuff with substance help. We want to perhaps be a place where ex-offenders can come in and get connected and serve in a meaningful way. There's so many different things that we want to do as food bank. I haven't got time. That's like 2 hours on its own. But our youth work, we were renowned for our youth work as a church when we had our own building all them years ago that we rented full time. And we're across from the high school. And so we want to impact the youth of this town like never before. Because we can look back and think we used to get 120 on a Friday night to a youth church. I think we're going to see even more than that happening. With our Connect, who's in a Connect group in our church here? Connect groups are an important part, they're the heartbeat of our church. And what's happened, they've been at homes, and some of you would love to have hosted a Connect group, but never been able to because your home's too small, or it's just not convenient because of kids there or what sort of stuff. But now we have a venue, boom! You can have more Connect groups, we can expand them over time. With regard to teaching, we want to do midweek Bible courses on a variety of topics, getting people involved in studying the Word. In terms of pastoral teams, you know, Connect groups are our mainstream way of pastoral care in this church. We one another. We love one another. We help one another. We don't all look to me, because can I tell you, I'm not that good. I'm not that good at helping everyone. We should love one another in our Connect groups. But on top of that, we then, at this place, want to do Connect one-to-ones where there's particular difficult times in your life and you want to get some particular help. That's what we want to do from this hub too. Not to mention, we also want to do a variety of different courses like Keys to Freedom. Who's done the Keys to Freedom course? Quite a lot in the room already. Fantastic course. You know, look online. If you, I think we'll be doing another one probably this year at some point, and so you can get signed up to that. That'll be running probably out of that venue as well. And so And for newbies as well, for any newbies coming along to church, we've got a few in the room today perhaps. You know, we want to do newbie stuff for newbie Christians who've never been in church before. We want to put together I think we're going to call it a baseline a video tutorial sort of library, if you like, for new people coming in to faith, to be able to engage with faith in a way that's relevant to them, not what the world has done over the years. We want to do what we do. We want to do us. And so we're going to do that in the form of that. And we're also going to do a DNA course for those who want to get on board with the vision of our church as well. Oh, man, I'm getting tired. There's so much we've got to do. F&B team, who loves Joe? For you guys who don't know, F&B is food and beverage. It is the staple foundation of church. All right, there's Jesus, and then there's food and beverage. That is the next layer of foundation in church. You know, we're going to have a great coffee hub, coffee environment, but we want to open it up into the week as well, but to resource our other ministries and to resource our community for different things. Things like our parent and toddler group that we're planning on putting out there. That's just not a babysitting club, but to engage particularly mums. It's usually when Steph's dragged me along to these in the past. Like we said, we've got 4 kids. So I'm usually the only dad and feel like a wally. All the ladies are singing around me. And so I get up and do a dance instead. But a high quality parent and toddler club where people can come and engage with our church. We want to do lots of different events like we've done before out of this venue, but do it to a higher standard, whether that's Father's Day, Mother's Day, all that sort of stuff. Quizzes, music nights, crew nights, barbecue nights, fun days, all that sort of stuff. We want to do men's events, which we haven't done for a while. And obviously at the foundation of that is obviously food, but also sports, games nights, and even, dare I say it, and some of the people who organise this sort of stuff for our church, dare I even say men's conference. Oh, we have a women's conference. We usually runs out the Apex. Jay John spoke there a couple of years ago. He was hilarious. But maybe a men's conference, we might do that sort of stuff. Obviously, our women's events as well, things that were like beautiful and flourish as well. And particularly our online stuff for you guys watching online. We want to expand not just what we do, but the quality of what we do as well, so we can get the message of Jesus out further to parts that we can never reach in person. And so it's going to be a media hub too. So, and I could really go on for hours with this sort of stuff, but I know you're getting hungry. So there are many opportunities to get involved, to get and help build the hub. And I mean literally. So there's 2 ways you can help. The first one is you can join the refurb crew. And so on our website, you can go on the homepage right at the top. We've made it really easy. If you've got any skill, or you can breathe, is to sign up to a refurb crew. I'm going to be there literally for 2 months straight, May and June. As soon as we get them keys, I'm there until we launch. And my wife will tell you my skill level with this sort of stuff, at 1 to 10, I'm not even a 1. I don't even get on the scale. And so, but what I can do is lift things. I can paint big walls with rollers. That's about what I can do. And I can clap people who are really good at stuff. And so it doesn't matter what level of skill you can give. Please sign up to that in any way you can. You can show how available you can be, even if that's just 1 day or 1 hour, or if you can be there multiple times doing multiple skillful things like building stud walls or painting, or we've got a couple of electricians as well who can get involved. And so it will be COVID safe. We'll be allowed to do that because we're a charity. And so you can come along and do that. And it's building work as well. So I know for many of you, you're excited about doing that. And I know, but it's going to come at a cost. It's going to come at a cost of your time, of you giving time, which leads me right on to what is right next to that on the website, which is to give to the building project. And I'm not shying away from that. You know, people who know me, I don't particularly like talking about money in church. It's not what we're like as a church. You know, particularly with filming this online. I'm not big on asking for money, but there is a reality to what we're trying to do. And so making this vision a reality takes finance, and lots of it. And we've been working hard behind the scenes for many years, as many of you know, and we've secured the purchase costs, but we're looking to raise £10,000. Have anyone noticed whenever I say £10,000, I do it in that voice? Because that seems like a lot of money in one day to me. But £10,000. And we're trying to do that today to refurb the auditorium. All the other stuff we think we'll be able to do, and we've got other pots of money covering them sorts of things, but we're trying to get the money to refurb the auditorium. particularly for our Sunday services, but for more than that. And so in a moment, we're gonna do an offering with the people in the room. And so if you're watching online and you love our church, or you're part of our church and just can't be here, or you used to be part of our church and you've gone back to the States or moved to another part of the country, and you're still connected with what we do and you love what we do and the work that we do, you too can help and get involved and help us build the hub. You know, if you're interested in building something that's focused on bringing people to know your Heavenly Father, then please do this. Even if you're not connected with our church, if you're able to and would like to, you can give online. And so, as I close today, I want to finish with this note that, you know, I know lots of you personally in the room. I know many of you personally who maybe watch online as well. But there's many of you that I've never met really before. But what I've got the feeling across everyone I know in my family and our church is that many people have struggled during lockdown in one way or another. It's been really tough. And for some people, maybe just a little bit, and maybe it's actually naive and ignorant and you don't know how much it's affected you in many of your ways in the longer term relationally. But many people have been struggling and maybe feel like they've been in a grave. They maybe feel like they've just been, just like Jesus on the Friday and Saturday, just in the grave, just there, almost waiting. Well, I want to say our God is in the business of turning graves into gardens. That's what he does. He's in the business of turning graves into gardens. And I believe, many of you would have felt it over the years, but we as a church have had a hard slog for the last few years. We've had a lot of difficult things as a church, a real hard slog. And so it feels like maybe, this is maybe the good picture for Easter Sunday, but it's maybe feels like we've been living in Good Friday. We've been living in Good Friday, and it was called Good Friday. There was nothing good feeling about it on Good Friday when Jesus died and all of his followers went, is that it? No one was at the tomb cheering when he came out. They thought it was over. They thought it was done. And perhaps for many of you, maybe you felt like that in the hard slog over the last few years as a church, that you feel like we've been in the grave, like it's done, and you're just seeing things out, just seeing life out. You feel like you're buried in the tomb. Well, I'm saying to you, guess what? It's the third day. It's the third day, and we're coming out. We're coming out of that together and united. And that's what I love about this. We're coming out together in the hub, through the way of the hub, connecting and united around building a place that people can find Jesus. And it's just amazing heavenly time, and it really is. And we get to be a part of it. We do, and I'm excited about that. I get to be a part of that. But here's the disclaimer. It takes sacrifice. It does. I'm not shying away from that. It takes sacrifice. And I want you to think about this, that Jesus made his sacrifice, and he asks us as his followers to pick up our cross daily and follow him. There is going to be sacrifices to following Jesus, sacrifices to build in church, build in his kingdom. And as we sacrifice today, as many of us have chosen that we're going to do, when we sacrifice from our finance, or if you on the refurb team from our time, but if we sacrifice from our finance this morning, I know God will honor it. He'll honor that sacrifice. And it says in Scripture that he's not mocked. God is not mocked. You reap what you sow. That's what it says in Scripture. So me and my wife have talked about it. We plan to sow sacrificially. So to see this vision come to pass. And so I want to be clear, because some of you may be a little uncomfortable because I'm talking about money. And probably for the first time in church, it's the first time I'm not uncomfortable when I'm talking about it, which is funny. Because I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to convince you to do it. There's no emotional piano playing in the background to try and stir something in you to make you do something you don't want to do. This is not what it's about. I'm asking you to align your works with your faith. To align your works with your faith, what you do with what you say, with what you see for the future and the things that you can do about it to make it actually manifest. Aligning your money with your mouth. And so, are you willing to do whatever the cost, whatever you can, to give sacrificially? Because giving sacrificially, and I'm nearly finished, don't worry, is foregoing what we want now in the temporal for what we want to build in the future. We know this in our own life. We forgo something now. We give up something now that we'd like now to build something for the future on earth, but also in eternity. And so I want to say to you, I really want you to listen. If you've switched off, I want you to listen now. If you want a great church, for you and your kids in the future, then you need to do something great now. You need to do something great now to have something great in the future. It's that simple. And if not you, then who? Honestly, if not you, then who? Like I said, we want to create environments that you're excited to invite your friends to, a place where people can belong before they believe and get to know Jesus. And you get to be a part of that. And so we in the room now are going to take up a building offering. And that's why we've come out today, many of us, to do that, to get our actions in line with our hearts and our words. And so we say we want to build a vibrant church. Now we get the chance to do it, to demonstrate our faith by our work. So, like I said, we in the room are going to do that now whilst the vocalists in a moment come up and sing. And if you're watching online, you can do that as well. You can go online and do that too. So we're going to, for now, just sign off online and continue in the room. And so for those at home, thanks for joining us for Liberty Online today. We hope to see you soon in person, either during the refurb, if you can get signed up and come and help out, or when we launch live services back in June at the Hub. So if you're online, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you soon.